This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on with us, and that is Nicole Tomas of Imperfectly Delicious. What's going on today, Nicole?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I love the Christmas festiveness that you're still portraying back there for those who are on video.
I haven't taken it down yet, but we want to enjoy it for a few more days. So thank you.
Yeah, no, can't complain about that. My fiance and I are big Christmas buffs. We just finally took everything down on Sunday, and it was kind of funny because I play hockey on Sundays. So I went out to go play hockey, came back, and the girls just kind of had their way with the house, packed everything back up. I got in, I looked in the living room. I'm like, oh my God, look at the amount of space. There's so much room for extra activities.
I'm excited for that too. Once this Christmas tree come down, I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, it just takes up so much space, but it's nice, but I'm excited to get that space back.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Well, awesome to have you on the show. I'm sure people are chomping at the bit. I kept myself relatively blind to what you do so I can let curiosity lead the conversation today. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your business?
Absolutely. First off, thank you so much for having me. It's honestly an honor to be on the Good Neighbor podcast. So thank you. And as you mentioned, my business is called Imperfectly Delicious. And our mission is quite simple. We sweeten events and elevate them to unforgettable heights. So we're big believers in that desserts are more than just sweet treats. They're about creating joyful memories. You know, in today's world, we're so busy. I find that we often forget to slow down and just enjoy simple pleasures. And our desserts are designed to do just that. Enjoy the simple pleasures, bring comfort, spark nostalgia, and just make you feel like a kid again. You know, like whether it's tasting something we made that reminds you of someone special from your childhood or something that you used to do as a child, like our live dessert stations where you create your own unique desserts. It just makes you feel like a kid again. You know, you just indulge in all the sweets without a care and you can put whatever you want on it. It just makes you feel like a kid. With that being said, we do specialize in 3 main categories for our dessert experiences. So we do have live stations, we have dessert tables, and then we have plated desserts. So I'll just go over them briefly. So our live dessert stations, we built a custom cart. So we actually come out to your events and we make the desserts live on site, and then your guests can customize them with anything they want. So our most common is our classic waffles. So we make the waffles fresh on site, and then you can add topping sauces as much or as little as you like, really. And that just, it's a fun interactive experience. You know, it's dessert that turns into entertainment, which I think is exciting for events. The second thing we do is dessert tables. So if you ever see, when you go to an event, you see those beautifully displayed tables with all those miniature desserts, the cookies, the little cups, all those kinds of things. We also make those. So we do that more for like presentation and variety when that's more important at an event. And the last thing we do was plated desserts. So, you know, when you go to a gala, you get served your entree, you get served your appetizer, and then you get served the dessert right to you. We also do those. So we've done events upwards of 600 desserts for one event, which is a lot, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's in summary pretty much of what we do. And we take pride in everything that we do, and we do enjoy doing it, which I think is very important. And yeah, we're just excited to create experiences for all of your events.
Very cool. I'm a foodie. I think most people enjoy good quality food, especially when it hits the sweet tooth.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about the food a little bit more into detail.
Sure.
What kind of desserts? Are there more popular desserts? Do you guys cover everything across the board? And do you adhere to people who have sensitivities, allergies, that type of thing?
So in the beginning, so we're going on year 3. I'm going to say in the first, year, even into like 2 years, we had more of a broader spectrum of items that we offered. But then we started to kind of narrow it down. We started to see what interested people more and what was more popular, I guess. So we narrowed it down to our specialty, which is mini dessert shooters. So it's little dessert cuts, usually three three and a half ounces, and we just put the desserts in there. So usually like trifles, which is like cake layered with like compote or some sort of like jam or something. We do mousses. So we do like passion fruit mousse, Oreo mousse, Aero mousse, Nutella mousse. We've done Ferrero Rocher mousse. So like anything mousse you can think of. And then we also do cheesecakes, which is probably one of our most popular. So we have our base for cheesecake, and then we just transform it into any flavor. Our most popular right now is Biscoff, I will say. Biscoff, cheesecake. We also do Nutella, Oreo. Like honestly, the options are endless. So we always customize to the event and what the customer's preferences on flavors and stuff.
Very nice. And if I had like a special request, I was hosting an event. I said, hey, my colleagues love this type of dessert, Reese's Pieces cake. Can you incorporate Reese's Pieces into a type of dessert?
Absolutely. Within our specialty, so like for example, our shooters, we can definitely make a flavor of your request. It's pretty simple. Adding an extra, like a custom flavor. So we always try to do that for guests when they request it, because it's their event, right? We want to make it as personal to them as we can and create the experience that they're looking for. So anything that we can do, we definitely try to add that in.
And I clearly gave away my favorite flavor on the planet then.
Buy him Reese's, everybody.
Very cool. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about the events. So obviously corporate events, anybody getting together, staff parties, that type of thing. If I'm just, maybe I'm a corporate person, have a family, maybe I have a large social network, and I want to have a party of 20 people coming over. Is that something where I could call you guys over and have you guys into my home and maybe do like a live dessert station, something like that would be entertaining for the party?
Absolutely. We don't have a minimum of guests that we kind of require, but we do have a minimum that we charge. So as long as the customer is okay with the price, then if you're looking for 10 people, we're there for 10. If you want 5, we're there for 5. If you just want you and your husband or you and your wife, we're there for 2. So there's no minimum guest amount. Just we do have a minimum that we charge, because regardless of the amount of customers, the work is the same, and the labor and we just have to set up the cart and do all the stuff we would if it was a 200 or a 300 person event.
So before I get to my next question, you'll start to figure out how my brain works here as we kind of go through this conversation.
Yeah.
This isn't a secret, but I've mentioned this on the show a few times now. A little late to do it this year, but next year definitely I want to incorporate that. So it's called a gourmet club. Have you ever heard of a gourmet club before? So you get together 6 of your friends, if they're couples, so 4 couples. If not, then you can do 4 to 6 friends, and you pick like a Saturday in some of the kind of colder months. So you could do either end of October, you start November, skip December for obvious reasons, then Jan, Feb, March. Mm-hmm. And then each person or each couple takes their turn at hosting the others to come over. And then you theme it, right? You theme it of this, like it could be Mexican night, or it's Japanese style or Asian style food, or it's whatever the case is. And then you have kind of like a scoring chart. So they're in charge of dressing the people for the attire. So you have a vibe score, you have a taste score, presentation score, et cetera, et cetera. So my brain's racking around this kind of live dessert station.
It sounds fun and intense.
I like to win, so let's just up the ante.
I'll be on your team.
You'd absolutely kill it, I'll tell you that. Okay, I love this next question, because everybody's got their journey into getting into doing what they're doing. And some people, they come out of the womb, they know exactly what they're doing. They do that their entire life. And then other times it's a little bit here or there. Some people find their calling later in life. So what was your journey like leading into doing what you're doing today?
I'm going to say probably starting what I was doing was the biggest, best mistake that's happened to me, because starting a business was absolutely not in the plan. My dad owned a business, but I never thought of owning a business or anything. So it actually started during COVID, which, a lot of businesses start during the hard times. So we're hoping that's where we go. But so I was working a 9 to 5. I was working at a laser eye surgery clinic. And I know that's not where I wanted to be. I had finished 4 years of kin. kinesiology, and that was kind of new when I graduated. So not many people knew what it was, but I quickly figured out that it was a stepping stone to figure out what else you wanted to do in life. So I didn't know what else I wanted to do. I was like, okay, great. I like sports. What am I going to do with my life now? I have no idea. So I took a break to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And in the meantime, I worked at a laser eye surgery clinic. And while I was there, I kept thinking about nursing. And I was like, okay, it's been a thought for over a year now. Like, let me apply. So I applied to one school, and it was the only school that I wanted to get into. And I said, if I get in, it's meant to be. So I applied and I got in. I was like, okay, great. Like, life is just, it's great. This is where we're going. And then COVID hit and the whole world shut down, and they requested a lot, and it was all online. And then there was a bunch of vaccines I had to take. It was like 7 of them, like all at once. And I was like, this is a lot. So I had just quit my job to go to school. And while I was in school, I was like, well, I can't work a 9 to 5 because it's too much to do at once. So I opened up my side hustle, which is me baking. I can make my own hours, I can decide how much I make and all the fun stuff. And then I dropped out of school, and I was like, well, damn, if this is not the universe telling me like, take the business route, like, then I don't know what it is. And that's kind of where we started. We were just like, okay, we're going full force. Like, we dropped out of school and we dropped out of my 9 to 5, and all we have is the business. Like, this is the route we're taking.
And so where does your baking background come into play here?
I'm going to say it was kind of a hidden talent. So I started baking during COVID because I couldn't go to the stores to buy stuff. So I was like, well, if I can't buy it, I'm just going to make it myself. So I started making stuff at home, and my friend's like, oh, this stuff's pretty good. Like, you should sell it. I was like, me? Nobody's going to buy my stuff. Absolutely not. Like, this is just for fun. This is for me and my friends at home just to enjoy. And at that same time, actually, one of my best friends, he started doing his own gym in his garage, because people couldn't go to the gym. So they started going to his gym in his garage. He bought equipment and set it up. And I was like, wait a second, if he can start his own little side hustle, like, why can't I? So I got my kind of like inspiration from him. And that's also kind of how like I started doing like the business. What was your main question? Because now I feel like
you're known that didn't bake at all or anything like that? Like, you just self-taught how to bake? Or
so my mom was a baker, but when I was younger, I was that type of kid that didn't like to be home. I like to ride my bike. I like to be at the park. I like to play sports. Like, I was everywhere but home. So my mom would bake, but I never stayed in the kitchen to really learn from her. I was like, oh, this is great, Mom. And I would just take it and run. I would just eat it and run. And now I'm like, damn, I wish I spent more time in the kitchen, because my parents got divorced. So now my mom lives in Portugal. So I can't just drive over to her and be like, hey, Mom, can you teach me how to do this? Like, she can teach me virtually, but it's never the same as, seeing it like in person. So
it's a science to bake. Like, you got to get everything perfectly, right?
It is. Yeah. Even some of her recipes, she does it with ease. And I'm like, I follow it every step, every instruction to the T. Like, why can't I do it like you do? But I don't know. Sometimes I think it's the magic of the hand too.
100%. Yeah. That's not my forte. I like to consider myself a very good cook, or above average cook for sure. But baking is not something I was ever really good at.
It really is another like skill level. So yeah, I would say it was a mixture between like a hidden talent and maybe getting some of my mom's magic in her genes.
Nice. Very cool. Are there any like myths, any like misconceptions you get out there from people, from customers when it comes to what you guys do?
I would probably say the biggest thing, or the conception that I hear misconception that I hear the most, when people tell me it's just dessert, I don't have a big budget for it. And to me, here's the thing: desserts, it's the final act of your event. It's the last thing that your guests are going to taste, the last thing that they're going to remember. And it's the most photographed and most talked about is the desserts. How many comments do you hear about, hey, that chicken entree was really good, and they take a picture and they put it on Snapchat, or they put it on, like their Instagram. You'll probably have a couple of comments like, hey, the food was really good. Like, I really enjoyed that. But most of the comments, they probably come from the dessert or that experience that you give them. Like when we have our dessert tables, like people are always snapping, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like a live station, like they're making waffles on site and I can add any toppings I want. This is so cool. You know what I mean? Like, the desserts, I think that they have the power to really elevate the event and to create those memories that people are looking for. You want people to remember your event for something. And if you have, desserts that stand out, or a dessert station, or just something to make it stand out, they'll remember your event for that. Oh, remember when we had XYZ at so-and-so's wedding? Yeah, that was so cool. And then they start to remember other things, but that one thing sparks the rest of the memories,
Yeah, totally. I mean, mindset and education's a big part of that. If you really understand the purpose of what it's designed to do, and you have the right mindset for it, just going into it, even if you weren't the one who planned it, that goes a long way for how you're going to view that experience, right?
Absolutely. When someone says to us, like, it's just dessert, I really think that they're overlooking how a thoughtfully and well planned out dessert table or dessert in general can really transform like their celebration and their event to something extraordinary. So the misconception I hear the most is just dessert. I don't have a budget for it. But let me tell you, you should really have a budget for dessert, because it can really transform that event. And for foodies, there's always room for dessert. To me, I always say there's always a separate stomach. I don't care if you just ate, 3 plates of pasta, you have a separate stomach. Dessert is fitting somewhere. Like, it's going somewhere.
Room, right?
Yeah.
So what about for people who are like a little more health conscious? They're active, they work out, they're counting their calories, counting their macros, that type of thing. Do you have certain desserts that you'll make that are maybe a little bit more friendly for those type of people, so they can still kind of enjoy it?
I mean, if they're going to an event and they don't indulge on a regular, I always recommend just the one day won't hurt. The other thing with our desserts is that they're very miniature. So unless you're getting a plated dessert, that's also your option to like how much of it you want to eat. But our mini desserts and even our waffles, they're all bite size. So it's not like you're indulging in this big waffle, that has like 1,000 calories. You can have the waffle, and if you want to be health conscious, you can maybe just put one topping on there. You can put just maple syrup, for example, or you can put just some strawberries on there with maple syrup. They can customize their own waffles and their own desserts, which makes it kind of fun in that way, because they're not forced to eat. Here's a whole cup of like all these toppings and desserts. Like, you have to eat this, And our minis are the same thing. They're 3 ounces, which is why I feel a lot of people that are health conscious, they also don't mind eating them, because it's like 3 spoonfuls and the cup is done. So like, okay, I got to try it, I got to enjoy it, and I'm satisfied. Versus having a whole 8-ounce cup, like a cup that's this big of a whole chocolate mousse, it's like, okay, that's a lot.
It's overkill.
So, yeah, it's overkill for sure. So
Very cool.
I think there's a balance between like the size of our desserts and, people that are health conscious. Yeah,
for sure. So in life, we pick our path, we go down our path, and we find our calling and what we like to do. You found yours. And being a business owner, for those who are business owners, understand, because what we do is not work, because we're so passionate about it. We enjoy it so much. Yesterday was the first day back at work, and Jeff and I were kind of like this, but you're Jeff and I'm still me, and we're doing our thing. And like, next thing you know, it's like 5:06, and I'm like, Jeff, I got a dinner, and we're done for the day. It's like, well, hang on, let's get a couple more things in the calendar, because it just goes by so quick. And it's easier to maybe work a little bit more. And typically, as humans in our society, we work more than we do play. But
absolutely,
there's not really a balance, because a balance means everything equal. And barring what I just said there, that doesn't necessarily ring true. So I like to say it's a harmony. It's finding that tune that fits the best between play and work. So when you're not working on or in your business, what does Nicole like to do for fun?
I mean, as you mentioned, working, like, I truly enjoy working on the business, as I see do you. It takes up most of my time, to be quite honest. And when I do have free time, I'm like, well, I could just send out another invoice, or I can, price somebody else, or I can go learn something else to do in the business, or I can update this or update that. So it's really hard for me, I'm going to be honest, to go and have fun. But when I do try to be active every day. So I try to go to the gym, or just get an ab workout, or go for a walk. I do enjoy cooking. Probably not as good as you since you're above average, but cooking is fun too.
Hey, just above average, nothing crazy.
And I also like to listen to hardstyle music. It gives me that pump of energy when I really need it. And if I really could, I would travel every month for 2 weeks. So half the year if I could. But I would definitely say I need more hobbies and more fun things to do. And maybe more friends up in the area because I moved from Toronto 9 years ago, but it was after high school. So I haven't really made many like friends up here. All my friends are still like down from Toronto. And so I don't really have any hobbies or any friends to go out with up here. So this is your girl calling for some new friends.
Well, I think you just made a new one, and we've got a wide array. We've got a wide array of people that we've had on the show and business circles and stuff like that. I'm sure we could hold you by the hand and drag you out there a little bit.
Oh, I hope so. Somebody's got to drag me out to some fun activity up here in Barrie that I don't know about.
Well, I'm excited to talk about that on the other side. What about sports? You said you played a lot of sports.
I did, yeah. So I used to play sports, and my boyfriend still plays every Sunday. So we go down to Toronto and he plays. But in grade 10, I broke my ankle, and I now have 2 screws in there. So I never played soccer again. And I play volleyball sometimes, but I've been injured these last 2 years. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting old. Like something just keeps happening. I'm like, I'm too young for this. What's going on? I had a shoulder injury and I recovered from that. Now I got a knee injury that I don't know where it came from. And the screws in my ankle have been bothering me. And I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on. I have no idea. So I had to put the sports on hold, unfortunately. Love
volleyball, big fan. Played only a year of rep, but played all throughout high school. And I do play beach volleyball. Like it a little bit more than court because I like to dive and make really crazy, stupid plays when the ball seems like is dead.
Yeah, I gotta save it.
Yeah, exactly, right.
That's my favorite sport too. I need to become one piece again, and then I challenge you. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Seems like we're both insanely competitive, so that sounds like a lot of fun.
I love volleyball. It's so sad when I couldn't play in grade 11 and 12 because I broke my ankle and I was recovering, so I didn't play anymore. At least I broke it in grade 10, and then I think I played grade 12 again, just not grade 11.
You know what would be a good sport for you to pick up would be golf.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see myself playing golf, but I take that challenge. I will try it.
The most difficult sport to play.
I heard.
It gets all in your head. You want to learn how to be more mentally tough. Go get on the golf course and practice that. It's a crazy sport.
Can we take that skill and apply it in the business?
There's lots that you can take.
I'm in.
From that sport and apply it into business.
I'm in.
And pickleball. I want to try it. Haven't tried it yet, but something that's not too crazy because you can play it like more relaxed, right?
I always get confused. Is that the one that they see in the gyms that you like hit it up against the wall?
It's like a waffle ball. It's got it's like a light plastic ball with holes in it, and then they have like just a little bit larger than like a ping pong.
It's on a court. It's not.
And it's on a court.
And there's a net.
And there's a net.
Okay, so not the one I'm thinking is the ones that they have like in the gyms where you just hit it against the wall and you.
Oh, squash. That's squash. You go.
I always get the two confused.
So your boyfriend, when he goes down to Toronto, what's he playing? Soccer? Basketball?
He's playing soccer. Yeah, soccer.
Yeah, I played keeper in high school because I can't kick the ball.
We need a little bit of that at least. Just a little.
But I remember all the guys in like grade 11. I played in 11 and 12, and they all came rushing to me one day. They're like, Sean, we want to put a soccer team together, but like we don't have a goalie. Can you play goalie? And I'm like, guys, I can't kick the ball. He goes, Matt will kick the ball for you. He plays defense. You just dive like you do in volleyball and stop the ball. I'm like, all right. So then we had a soccer team.
So you have 2 left feet is what they call it.
Yeah. I'm not scared until Matt's twin brother decided to kick the ball. Like these guys played rep. Like I've never had a ball fly at my face so hard. He kicked it so hard. He bent my whole hands back.
Oh no.
And it was like in the semifinal game, and they I had to be on the sideline halfway through the game, and they were begging me to come back in. Like I was dying. So I played with my arms. instead of my hands because they're like, Phil can't play keeper, man. He's too slow.
You didn't break them though, right? Like you just
No.
Okay, thankfully.
But it hurt. So over the holidays, we took 2 weeks off hockey. I didn't play. And then we came back, we played, we won 8-2. It was a good game. And then I partially tore my meniscus on my left knee. This is 6-7 years ago, running the base pads in like co-ed softball. So needless to say, I haven't played that sport any further, but I'm gingerly walking around going, hockey, you think it's okay because you're the way you move, like when you skate. But I got myself thinking now, so I got to kind of take it easy, and I'm starting to get back into the workout routines. So my brain was spinning this morning, to say the least.
Yeah. Be careful. We don't want another injury.
No, definitely. We don't want.
Those are not fun. The recovery time for that and not being able to like walk and just, it's not easy.
I've sprained my right ankle 3 times now on the same ankle, like severe sprains too. So I have to be really careful on how hard I push myself because I'm too competitive. So
3 times? That's a lot. I broke mine once and I was like, never again. Like that's enough for me.
Yeah, never broke it, but sprained it. I remember it was Y2K evening before we went into the new millennia. And I was playing around with a friend of mine. My parents were over at their friends and they had a daughter. We were pretty close friends at the time. We were super young. I don't know, maybe 14, 15 years old. And they had hardwood throughout the floor and I slipped and my right toe touched the back of my head. I slipped backwards like this.
Ow. So
I got to be careful.
Yeah, please. Highly recommend. I can't even imagine that. My toe touching the back of my head. Ow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Not that
crazy. And I'm not that flexible. So.
Ouch. That must have hurt.
So in life, we pick this path, right? We decide, okay, this is what I want to do for my life. And we walk that path. It's the path of life. And life isn't easy. Life is never necessarily fair. And people go through things. We go through hardships. We go through life challenge. Some people experience tragedies. Some people experience those more than others. And I've always been fascinated with human beings, right? It's our ability to be able to overcome these challenges, to learn from them, that emboldens us, it strengthens us, and we evolve. We move forward from there. I mean, it's life. It moves forward. We have to move forward with it. And so I wanted to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you took some silver linings from it.
Yeah. Probably the one that comes to mind the most is, so as I mentioned earlier, I had quit my job to start school, and then I quit school, and then all that's left was the business. And when that happened, I could have easily gone out and found another job. But during that time, I was also taking some financial business courses, and I had a mentor. He was also in business and he was a little bit more ahead. So he was kind of guiding me. And one thing that he always said was that if you're at rock bottom and you have nothing else to rely on, that's really when you'll figure it out. And so that's exactly what I did. So I did not go find another 9-to-5 job. I decided that I was going to go full force into the business. And like I mentioned, not go back to 9-to-5, and not doing that. Actually, it made me stronger in ways that, I never expected. I had no routine. I had no security of a 9-to-5. And I found myself in situations where I had no guaranteed income and I still had things to pay off and bills to pay. And quite frankly, I had no idea what I was doing in the business world because I had just started. I was just starting. And that really forced me to think on my feet, and to get creative and be resourceful. I didn't have that luxury of relying on that paycheck every 2 weeks. X amount will come in, so I know that I can budget for this and this. So we had to try different approaches. We had to test new ideas, and I wasn't afraid to fail. I had no option but to fail because you only learn from your failures, and that's how you move forward. So I leaned into learning. I took courses, I watched YouTube videos, I read books, I reached out to people that were in positions like me and just soaked up as much as I could. And from there, I had to push through all the self-doubt that I had. And even then, sometimes it gets me choked up because when I look back, I'm like, I can't believe I went through all of that. And I was able to do that. When you think back, you're like, oh, I can't do that. There's a long road ahead of me. But when you take it step by step, it's a lot easier than looking at, how far you have to come, one step at a time, and eventually you'll get there. So I discovered strengths that I didn't know I had. And I learned how to be adaptable, how to be relentless, how to find solutions when I had no other option. And the uncomfortability, the uncertainty, all of that is what made me grow. It pushed me to learn quicker, work harder, and realize that when you have no other option but to make it work, you definitely find a way. And for anybody out there who can relate to that, just keep going, keep pushing. Even if you have no idea what you're doing, you'll make it, and eventually you'll figure it out for sure.
They say, and I would agree with this, that business owners are some of the best problem solvers out there.
They can be, yes.
There's always something.
Yeah.
So super happy you found your way. Now that you're able to look back on those challenges, they always seem like they're so insurmountable when we come across them, but it's not until we get past that we can look back on that and say, yeah, I did that. That builds the confidence, that helps build character. And then the next time you take on a challenge, you're like, well, I've done all of these before. Now it's a little bit easier to digest that. It doesn't seem as insurmountable. And it's more about putting the head down and getting out there and doing the work to push forward.
Absolutely. I've had countless of those. Countless, where you're like, oh my goodness, I don't think I could do it. I'm like, oh, come on, you've gone through worse. You could do this. And you just dive in and you figure it out as you go.
It's always a journey going through it. Jeff and I both say this to each other quite often, but there's never really a final destination, right? That definition of success is not you just go from point A to point B.
No.
But what we get really excited about is who we have to become in order to get there. And that's what keeps us going every day.
I think success is the journey itself. It's just you growing. Tony Robbins always says, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I really believe in that. You're either going one way or the other. You're never at a standstill.
And Alex Hormozy, to
love Alex.
Another quote, will say, growing is stressful, staying stagnant is stressful, and going backwards is stressful. So all of it is stressful. So you're always just going to be stressed. Just push forward, just win.
Absolutely.
All right. So I wanted to ask you one more question for our listeners. If there was one thing, Nicole, just one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business, what would that one thing be?
I think it would be that we're not just selling desserts. We're offering experiences, and that to me adds real value to any and all events. What sets us apart, I feel, is that we always add our personal touch. So we bring our handcrafted desserts to your event. We make them from scratch. We source high quality ingredients, so we don't buy the cheapest just because they're cheap. We will spend the money if it means it's going to bring the quality. And anything we can make from scratch, we do make from scratch. So we're not big fans of, let me just go buy this pre-made thing because it'll save me time. Even if it takes me more time and it'll taste better, I will definitely go out of my way and do that, which is what we've built our business on. We do everything high quality and from scratch, and quality never drops no matter how stressful or how many we're doing, because we've done upwards of 600. And my motto is always quality never drops. That's what I always tell my staff when they're out there helping me. We bring experiences, and it engages all of the senses, really, the sight, the smell, and most obvious, the taste. And yet we just focus on creating those lasting memories for your guests, and our prices really justify and reflect the high quality ingredients and experience that we bring. So when you choose us, you're not just getting great desserts. We're elevating the whole event, and you're getting that experience.
Very well said. I'm sure there's definitely some people who are interested, maybe want to reach out. They want to learn a little bit more about you guys, maybe book in an event. And so for those who are interested, What would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and reach out?
Our best right now is probably just our Instagram, which is just imperfectly.delicious. We do have an email and a phone number as well. Should I verbally say what those are as well? Okay. So we have our Instagram, imperfectly.delicious. We do have our email as well, which is info@imperfectlydelicious.ca. And then we have our phone number, which is 647-542-2553. We don't have a storefront, so unfortunately, we do not allow guests to come into the facility and just pick up desserts on demand. But you can always order in advance or reach out, and we can give you a customized quote for any event that you're looking for.
Lovely. Well, it was great to have met you. Great to have you on the show. Meet another good neighbor here in our local community, and we wish you all the best out there.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys.
Sounds like a plan. Have a great day.
And volleyball.
Got it.
Take care.
Talk to you later, Nicole.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com or call 705-413-3775.